No, we don't need to clap again. It's already all queued up. Hey, everyone. Derek and Alex here. We just sat through 4 hours of Stranger Things season 4.
Oh, God, no.
See what I did there?
No.
See what they did there.
Ugh.
And before we jump into it overly much, before we jump into, I'm just gonna have to put a giant 4 every time we do this. So
4 chimes.
4 chimes. Oh my God! All right. So before we jump totally into spoilers, I think we should give a real quick first impression.
No, so we just finished the 4 hours, and I don't know if I was gonna rank the seasons. I would say season 1 and 3 are my favorite.
I agree.
But I don't know where I would place this in context of 2, because I haven't seen 2 in a while, and 2 is kind of tainted by the episode.
Yeah, the one with the she goes off on the adventure with the older girl.
And that really does taint season 2.
Yeah,
That's mostly what I remember.
Yeah, that's mostly.
I remember snot maggots and
it's mostly
Sean Astin.
Oh yeah, he was in season 2.
Yeah.
They do a little flashback to him. Yeah, so I would say it's probably I would say season. I kind of liked season 3 a little more than season 1 because it was so just silly.
It was very 80s.
It was super 80s, and especially coming off the disappointment that was season 2, I think I gave it a little bump because I'm like, all right, quality, and I think that's probably the same reason why this one takes a pretty big deficit for me, amongst other reasons which we'll get into. But I mean, if you're already watching Stranger Things, you're going to watch these episodes and form your own opinion anyways. But
right, and you should, because it's still Stranger Things.
Yeah, for everybody, because I am going to be very critical of a few things coming up, and I know a lot of my friends are like, oh, that's all you do, or you're critical. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's a few things where they could have really worked on. So I would say season 4 is very flawed and needlessly long. But overall, when it was done, I was like, okay,
So, last time when we talked about Barry, I specifically mentioned that I think the problem with Barry is that they've opened up all these plot lines and they haven't given more time to the show. So it's
Right.
still 30-minute episodes, and they've introduced more and more plot threads as each season goes without expanding the runtime.
Right.
This time they did expand the runtime in Stranger Things, and they have so many plot lines that they don't.
Not a lot of characters have something to do in them.
No, but they open all these up, and then they're just and they do give them the time to exist, and then you get done with them, and you're like, why? So maybe Barry's doing the right job by not giving him more runtime. I don't know. But yeah, it was too much. I was trying to count all the characters that have screen time, major screen time.
Yeah.
More than, that are more than just extras in the background, right? Because no character's an extra pretty much.
I would say I would be surprised if someone said this was their favorite season, or that they found this to be an edge of your seat thrill ride.
Well, there's recency bias.
There is, but there's also just in terms of I think of how you craft suspense. I think this one really, we were not on the edge of our seat, and but that being said, I give it if I had to put it life or death ad gladium, I'm leaning more towards let it live than put it to death.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's got to live anyway. Season 5's coming up.
Yeah, I know. I'm just not excited.
We know what's going to happen in season 5.
Yeah, well, I'm not that excited about season 5, and we're just we'll jump into some spoilers now. We tried to give you as best we can, but we can't talk about these things without breaking down the specifics of why we like them and dislike them. It's just not who we are. A couple of my predictions for what I expected from season 5 ended up coming slightly true, not in the way I anticipated. I did expect the town of Hawkins to be consumed by the Upside Down, but I expected it to happen in a much more visceral way than it did. I expected a full-on Silent Hill overtake of Hawkins by the Upside Down.
So coming after the first half of the season, if it was the first half, it's 6 episodes and 2 episodes, but the last 2 were movies.
Yeah, they're coming off the first 9 hours versus the final 14 hours.
No, but I wasn't really sure what to expect because there was so much left to do, and I'm like, there's 2 more episodes left. I'm like, they can't wrap up everything, and they sure didn't. So I didn't actually have any predictions towards what was going to happen in the second half of the season, other than
yeah.
I mean, like, what I have predicted. I guess I was thinking that Steve might do more.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah. Steve gets nothing to do, except like occasionally the people are flippant to him or they mock him
For not having anything to do.
for not having anything to do, and then he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't even get like a cool action sequence. He doesn't do anything.
Oh, he does profess his love to
Oh, Nancy. Yeah.
And then I forgot that they forgot that.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that scene until just now because I'm trying to think of things he did, and they forgot.
Oh, they don't even handle that very well. So this kind of annoyed me because they're driving in an RV and Nancy's in the passenger seat and he's like, I used to think about this very similar moment. Me with a couple of Harringtons, maybe like 5 or 6 kids. We drive across country and see the few sights and. He's like looking at her as he's telling us like for far too long, like as if he was driving. I'd be like, I was on the road, Harrington, are you never gonna have kids? Like, and he, like just like the way they're like talking to each other, it's very clear he's talking about her without saying it's about her, right?
Well, then he tells her that it was about.
And then
her.
they ruin it with him going, by the way, I forgot to tell you that RV thing. It was you I was driving with. They were like, yeah, no shit, Steve. You made it pretty fucking clear. Like, the show has all the subtlety of a jackhammer. Like, it's just, I couldn't stand that. It's a small problem, but like I said, when I'm already watching something that's 4 hours, I don't need the redundancy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't even know what to say anymore because it's just like, all right, so Steve. All right, so.
Unless Steve becomes like some kind of wartime leader here, but they like, I don't know. Because they kind of.
Why would that matter? Why would he be a wartime leader?
Because Jonathan makes that offhanded remark at the end of the season where it's like, it's a good thing, Nancy, you were here. Otherwise, who would be our leader? Steve? And I'm like, and she's like, actually, he's grown quite a bit. And
you mean the leader of 4 different plot lines that don't intersect?
Yeah, I equate this like, like a Tom Clancy novel, how you'll have like several theaters of like interaction, or like a really good book. It's like, this happens here, this happens here, this happens here, because it all informs when it comes together. They tried to make it so that way all the stories mattered at the same time, and it didn't work.
This is going to be like our Station 11 conversation where just like, oh, and then this happened, but also this happened before then. And it's going to be like the last part of the season where they're like, this is happening, but this is happening. And they're just like simultaneously jumping back and forth to the confrontation at the end. Because I don't know, man. Because they had all these characters. Let's see. I was just trying to write down the characters that we have and like the plot thread characters that are specifically the characters that are specifically important to the plot thread.
Right. Versus
and they're all individually like woven, basically. Yeah. I mean, we've got Will, we've got Mike, we've got Eleven. We've got Winona Ryder's character, whose name I can't remember ever.
Her name is Winona Ryder.
Oh, okay. We've got Murray.
Ugh.
We've got Max. We've got One. We've got the good FBI. We've got the bad FBI.
It was like more like good like CIA versus straight up military forces too. Like their lines are ill-defined except for.
But they each had their own plot line.
Yeah.
It wasn't intertwined. It was individually they were going after it. We had Hooper. We had the Russian dude. We had the bad Russian dude who had their own plot lines. We have Eddie.
Yeah. Isn't it Hopper?
It's either.
Hooper's from Jaws, right?
It doesn't matter.
You mean Hellboy. Let's just use their names. David Attenborough. What is his name? It's David Harbaugh or something like that.
Oh, yeah, Harbor,
yeah.
All right, so we have Hanging with Mr. Hooper.
Yeah.
We got Steve. We got Robin. We got Nancy. We got Jonathan. We got Argyle. We have the basketball psychotic team.
The basketball crazies.
Yes. We've got Susie. We've got Dustin, who I almost forgot about entirely. And we've got Paul Reiser. And all of these... and I forgot Papa. We have Papa. He's not on that list. We have Papa, too.
Yeah.
All of these characters have at least 10 minutes of screen time. At least.
Yeah.
Did I name one that doesn't have 10 minutes of screen time?
No.
Shut up.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The moral of the story is like there are so many characters and they're trying to show everybody all at once and do things and try and make everything important for them. So you get these very bloated runtimes where because they are trying to develop characters, it's a whole lot of nothing happening. And like it's like a weird thing to do for a 4th season. To like focus solely on these, like to focus so much on a character.
Well, no, because it's not a weird thing to do because as the show goes on, they expand, right? Season 1 had a core 8. Then we add Max and Paul Reiser and
Just
that weird plot line.
Billie Jean.
Then season 3 we get Murray. Maybe he's in season 2.
I think he's in season 2. I don't remember.
And then like we get all these more characters, and then this season they're just like, and let's throw in like 5 more.
Yeah.
We get Argyle. We get more of Susie, who only matters for like 1 episode, vaguely.
Vaguely.
It was just like, let's throw her in because she was in season 3, and we need to know what Dustin's girlfriend. Oh, by the way, Dustin doesn't talk to her. He does at the
very beginning of season 4 on the radio.
Oh yeah,
or whatever, yeah.
But then, Dustin is not involved in her with the slightest. And when they see her, she's like, "Oh, my dad doesn't want me talking to Dustin."
He's running around with Eddie and
like like her point, her existence is, oh, she's a genius who talks to Dustin, and we see that none times. But that's right, none times.
None times.
And then they go to her house.
Isn't that themed restaurant?
Yes.
None times.
Yeah.
And I do, by restaurant, I mean strip club.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say it's Hooters, but nuts. Why would that exist? Picturing it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, you're right. They try and serve like too many masters in this one.
That was 22 characters that all have at least a lot of screen. Like we have the dude running evil FBI.
Yeah.
That's not FBI. It's military.
Yeah, it's like the military
kill
guy.
squad.
The military death squad. Yeah.
And he gets a lot of screen time, and then him torturing one of the FBI agents is a bunch of screen time. One of the FBI agents fighting a bunch of dudes is a bunch of screen time, and then dying horrifically.
Yeah, you're right.
Will and Mike are together. Will and 11 are together. And it's none of these plot lines really involve more than like 2 characters at a time. We've got Max and Lucas, and we've got Max and someone else, and we never really have Max and Lucas and Dustin and Nancy. We just have like Max and Nancy, Max and Dustin, Max and...
We get them for very small segments. So it's like, all right, let's plan. So they plan, and then they break up into smaller...
Do they plan?
Not well. They're like, we need to go get weapons. So and then they just walk into the store and they just start buying guns and stuff.
This is America. You can do that.
No,
it's
fine.
There was nothing inaccurate about that scene.
Yeah, if they wanted to be more accurate, they would have gone to their father's arsenal and pulled out all of his like.
Which one had the guns?
I don't know. This could have been any one of them. Small town America. So they own guns.
Maybe, but I mean, these were bougie.
Yeah, a little.
Their kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons. They're not preppers.
They're Satanists, and don't think that the show won't stop with that Satan thing. Like it's how
Satan's always around judging people.
Like, so they sort of stop the big bad, but not really, because we were a little confused as to the logic of how Vecna would win, and I said, well, if Max dies, that's his 4th soul, right? His like spell's complete, and he's like, yeah, but Vecna's not there to take it, and I was like, well. He does the Michael Myers out the window, and when they go to find him, he's gone.
Well, I had Vecna written down. Oh, he wasn't even on. Oh, no, number 1 was...
Number 1's Vecna.
Well, Vecna is an unforced error villain. And also, villain who tells everyone his plan. He tells everyone his plan, and he has unforced errors.
Yeah.
Like, he's more powerful than anyone. All he has to do is complete his plan, and instead he's just like, about that.
He monologues like the most cliche trope of all time.
Well, Max, I wasn't going to kill you yet, but here you are. And then, let's take the time to kill you the next time.
And then 11 shows up, and he's like overpowers her, and instead of like just like finishing the job, he's like, I'm just gonna talk to you for about 5 minutes, monologue.
Well, then they cut back to the scene where Will had never written that he loved her, and she was so upset. I always write, I love you, and you write, regards, Mike, or whatever. Mike, Will, they're the same person. And you write, like, regards, Mike, to me. I don't even know what he wrote. It was something like, it was something.
Oh, he's barely in this season, so.
Well, he was there to tell 11 that he loves her. And,
and then
to go on vacation and meet Argyle.
And then to drive around in a van. And then.
With Jonathan, and who. Oh my god! So this show is a fucking mess.
It is a mess. Yeah, because like
it's not unfun.
No, we had a good time, but we had a good time in that beer and pretzels way, where it's like
I wish
adding our own jokes. Yeah,
there's 2 things that I can't have.
Fair. Whoopsie!
You really shoved the knife in.
Yeah, but hey, the point we're really getting at is it just doesn't feel cohesive, and parts of it just feel like if they had cut it out, it would have toned the runtime down, and we could have kept like narrative focus on a few things that mattered. Introducing like the basketball crazies, completely useless.
And then the guy that's like, let's go get him, and leads the town on this pitchfork mission.
Yeah.
Where's the town on the pitchfork
No,
mission?
they quit instantly. They're like, oh, but it's after 8. Like, no, I'm serious. And then like one guy came walking by and I was like, oh, which cameo is this? And you're like, that's the guy from the town meeting who said like these teen boys are right and we should go pitchfork. And say what you will about Halloween Kills, but at least the Evil Dies Tonight crowd, you know, they did it. They got out there in numbers.
Did they kill him?
They tried, but nobody wants to shoot anyone in the head. It's just a ridiculous. You've not seen it?
No.
Oh, I thought you were joking with me the other day.
Why would I watch that?
Oh, it's trash. We're going to have to do that one of these days.
Oh, fuck me.
Evil Dies Tonight. So the basketball crazies, which is a reference to the, it's just a murder-suicide. So, which is, I call it basketball crazies because it's a reference to the Warriors with the baseball crazies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll throw a reference in for the young folk. No young folk watch this. But their storyline really goes nowhere except to like constantly like remind people that there's like Eddie's on the run or like a girl died or something like that. But it's
the only for Eddie to be on the run, because without them, Eddie wouldn't. What happened to the cops that were chasing Eddie?
Holy crap! The cops disappeared too. Yeah. Well, I heard there was going to be a body count in like the last couple episodes, and I was like, well, you could eliminate the town cops, and there's like 3 deaths no one would notice, and they're not even in it to be killed. That's ridiculous.
Only Eddie dies. And Papa, but he'll probably come back.
He'll probably come back. Yeah, they all.
He was bleeding in the dirt, and then he pops her collar that he put on for no reason.
We thought it was like a power dampening collar, but it was an explosive collar, I guess, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Like that pizza guy.
There was just which pizza guy?
The one in Australia who they put an explosive collar on and made him rob a bank and then blew him up anyway.
Was that in Australia?
Well, somewhere.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Netflix has a documentary about it because it was like it's the collar, but it was like a vest that directed it inwards. And they, spoiler alert, they don't save him.
I already said he exploded.
Oh, my mistake. Back to Stranger Things, man. Well, it's just, hey, if we sound like we're meandering, when you watch it, you'll understand why it's so hard to keep.
So let's go over the plot
straight.
of the show real quick. Let's think about it. 11 is Jane, and she's living in California.
I think most people at this point have already.
No, because I want to go through this so that we can
think
about it. 11 is Jane in California.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is at home and planning a trip out with Nancy. Mm-hmm. Nancy bails. Hopper's in. Oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah, so he's in a Russian prison, and I thought he was going to be there because he got like blown through like the Russian portal experiment into the Upside Down, and he came out like the other side or something like that. Because I thought they were trying to use the Upside Down.
No, this turns out those 2 holes were connected.
They weren't.
Well, the one from America went to Russia.
No.
That's how he ended up there.
No. They panned down, and it turns out he jumped and fell on the platform immediately beneath the explosion. He doesn't get blown into the wall at all. He just like falls down like 15 feet, and they drag him back up and send him to Russia.
Wait, they get him on a plane and everything and send him to Russia?
We don't see any of it. It happens off camera. That's how he ends up there.
I thought they just jammed him through the hole.
No, see, I had thought that the whole point of this season was going to be that like they had created a portal between the U.S. and Russia that would allow.
Well, they did. They said that they were going to, in season 3, they're like, oh, imagine if all these Russian soldiers come funneling through this one hole, America will be doomed.
I thought they would.
This 3-foot hole, if all these Russians funnel through it, goodbye, America.
Well, if you could build those anywhere, all you got to do is send the nuke.
Nuke Indiana?
You got to nuke something. So
I would prove that.
So I honestly thought that was going to be the link. Like after last season, I thought we were going to get more. I honestly thought they were going to find a way to bring in Dart from season 2, the demi dog, and that when they closed the portal, like its consciousness was sucked back, but it like rebirths itself, like Cylons in Battlestar Galactica. So I thought the monster in Russia was going to be a fully grown Dart, and then he was going to recognize Hopper, and he was going to tear a portal into the Upside Down somehow. Who cares? And the 2 of them were going to have to travel through a time-compressed Upside Down, kind of like the Waze in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And he was going to end up there just as like everything collapsed and the whole town gets overtaken by the Upside Down. But he'd be like, don't worry. I know how to survive here for an extended period of time. I know how to fight. But that's not what happens. Instead, they're just in Russia and a plane crash and
he's in a gulag, and then the guy in the gulag sends a magazine cutout letter to Winona Ryder. What's her character's name?
Winona Ryder.
And she goes, "Oh no, he's alive. Let me call this number." And then they talk over the phone. And then they're like, "Let's go to Alaska."
Yeah, she teams up with Murray,
who knows karate now.
And they end up going to Alaska, and the guy who's bringing them betrays them.
Multiple times.
They crash the plane, but don't worry, everybody's fine. It's not a big deal. And
why would it be a big deal?
I don't know. A plane crash is super easy to survive, apparently.
Only extras die in them.
Yeah, and there were no extras. And
no, there weren't.
So he has to fight like one of the monsters, and I think most people have already seen the first part of season 4, so I don't think we need to go into too much detail about that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it, and everyone's seen the second part by now anyway. So.
I'll get this out soon enough. I think more people are just interested in like the conclusion and the wrap up of it than a recap. But just because recapping it makes me realize none of these stories fucking matter, and it's kind of depressing.
That's why I was bringing it up, because we have Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah.
We have Will and Mike, who only
Cheech and Chong's adventure,
who only ever talk to each other, as far as I'm aware, for like 5 minutes in the second half. Because in the first half,
they talk a little bit.
In the first half, Will is like, "I made you this," and he's like, "Whatever, we'll look at it later." And then he's like, "11's been," and Mike's like, "We'll talk about that later."
They talk about it. Well,
he just blows it off.
Yeah.
He just blows it off. Mike just blows him off all the time, and then we have a little bit of a conversation. But
yeah, there's not a lot going on here. When they finally get 11, oh God, you know what else really upsets me in terms of like continuity kind of issues and stuff like that? They escape the top secret base, right, in a very, very distinguishable van.
Yeah, but all the other cars have been blown up.
The guy still has his radio in his hand.
There are 2 helicopters as well.
There were 2 helicopters, and only one of them exploded. You're right.
I think.
No, you're right. It was only the first one got dropped out of the sky. There's still a second one around there somewhere. And then they travel, and they just get to where they need to be.
Well, that's okay, because the bad military guys disappeared after that.
Yeah, they don't even show up again. And like
they didn't have Ubers back then.
Yeah, and they certainly the guy can't call on his like radio for like support in the air, because you're right, there's that other helicopter in the area. They can get word out, but no, they just disappear from the show from that point forward. The guy's like, "Oh, shucks."
Like Murray, like the Russian guy, like the second Russian guy, like
yeah, they do just disappear in favor of this like.
Unfortunately, Argyle doesn't disappear. Nope. Susie disappears. Susie
does the one thing and disappears.
Susie's sister, who Argyle loves, disappears.
Oh, that whole dysfunctional family's only in it for that one scene, and it's obnoxious to watch.
That was like 30 minutes.
It's a sequence of events then. I did not like it.
Get out of here with your suction cup arrow.
Yeah.
Stop murdering your sister on the floor.
It's just like, I know, like, again, it sounds like I'm being like hypercritical of these things, but there are ways within your story universe to make things, I think, a little more cohesive than they get out of the prison and then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. That's part of like the mind flare entity that we just left in a Russian gulag
and
secret
the particles
laboratory.
Are still in it, but we have no idea that killing them is going to disrupt whatever, because they don't even know what's going on in the East, so how would they know that killing them is going to disrupt anything?
Well, because they make that one phone call where they can do remember they make the phone call on the red phone and then they have to wait like 2 days and then the phone call comes back and the woman from the good government is like, "Oh yeah, the kids are doing this. By the way, those people disappeared out of the show almost instantly when they walked into Hawkins, and they're like, "Yeah, those are some interdimensional portals, all right." And then like they're nowhere to be seen. The kids are running around, jumping in and out of portals, like it's like willy-nilly. And then she makes a phone call to Hopper and they're like, "Yeah, well, the kids are going to try something tonight." How would they know? They've never come across the kids. But that's the thing, is like, we need to do whatever, give the kids whatever fighting chance we can get. Let's go kill those particles. But like, there is no, like, how would she know? They never met up with the kids once. She would not know that the kids were planning a suicide run, right? She would not know this. 11 only knows it because 11 can walk like the void of space and goes and reaches out to her friends with her minds. And she's like, "I know what they're planning tonight. We need to get me in a position to do something." And the one clever bit of writing is like, remembering that like 11 can do some of these things, as opposed to just
Yeah, but then her conclusion takes place in a Shakey's Pizza.
Yeah, it takes place at Surfer Dude Bros Pizza. They empty a pizza thing and fill it with salt and be like, now it's a sensory deprivation tank. But like,
and then there's 4 people just hovering over her. Yeah, I'm sure her senses would be totally deprived.
Yeah.
Can you feel this?
No, it was just like, and they're all talking to her. It's not even just like one person talking. Like, it's like, and then like,
well, Jonathan has to say something this season.
Oh God, it was ridiculous. And then she has another another Wheel of Time moment when Max dies, and she's like, "No, you won't." And like, we were like, "This is gonna be a good learning curve for her that you can't bring something back from death."
But
she does. And then they go to visit her in the hospital 2 days later because time jump. Like they just show up. It's like days later. The town's not even being like properly evacuated. It's like there's not like a military quarantine in the area because the government knows what Hawkins is about. They don't even do that. And so when she like tries to read what's in Max's brain, it cuts away and does like another time jump. Only during this time jump, we get a flashback to when she read Max's brain and there was nothing there. And I was like, this flashback only works if she was corrupted by the number one, like, but she doesn't. She spins the bottle and she remembers that for us, it's been like 5 minutes of screen time. But for her, it's been like 2 days, I think, 2-3 more days. And she remembers that when she touched Max, there was nothing in Max's mind. Well, you could have showed us that when it happened. You didn't need to time jump away to come back and show us something that you could have handled in that moment. It was unnecessary.
Why did they? I'd forgotten about the bottle spin, and I watched that 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. No, she does it in her room to remember Max, and it makes her sad remembering her friend's brain dead or whatever.
All right, so if we think about the endings to the plot threads of each of these characters.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
Will.
No change.
He's in town. He's
in his own town. He's back from vacation, and his mom says you're never allowed to leave this town again, even though the town has like 4 massive... It has a giant swastika carved out of it.
And he vaguely came out. But they didn't even really have the balls to
no. I'm speaking of Mike. Wait, which one's Will? Which one's Mike?
Will's the one with the cool haircut.
Oh, yeah. No, he vaguely comes out to his brother. Well, his best friend. Well, he doesn't really come out to his best friend. He gives that speech about love, and it's...
Oh, yeah, and then he also vaguely comes out to his brother.
And then his brother kind of tells him, I'll always love you no matter what.
So he has a conversation with Mike. His whole arc this series, he has a conversation with Mike with a pretty cool drawing. He has a conversation with Jonathan. And he goes home and gets grounded forever.
No, that was Will then.
That was Will, yeah.
Yeah. Or Mike. I can't remember their fucking names.
No, Will is one of the bull haircuts.
All right, so Will actually doesn't have any resolution to anything. When he's in town, he's like, nope, I can feel his presence. He's injured but not dead.
Oh, yeah, that's the end of his plot thread.
Yeah, I got my
11.
Got my characters confused.
11 gets her powers back, gets her groove back.
11 gets her grooves back.
And
end of arc.
Tries to kill Vecna, fails.
Yep, fails to kill Vecna.
Tries to bring Max back to life, fails.
Fails.
Gets told that Mike loves her.
Yeah. Reunites
with who? Hopper.
I'm pretty sure it's Hopper. They call him Hop, not Hoop.
Do they?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I don't know.
It's funny. Call him Hoop. Every time you say Hooper, I'm just going to put a picture of Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws on screen anyway.
Why not hanging with Mr. Hooper?
I could do that too.
I think his name might be Cooper.
I think it is Cooper.
Do I know the names of any characters or people who've ever existed?
If it turns out he's a basketball coach, though, in that show, Hooper would make sense to me.
Oh my God, shut up, Dylan. That's not right either.
Yeah, I got it.
We own Quinoa's Winona Ryder's character, who I could not spell the name of.
Yep. Winona Ryder's character just plays. They successfully destroy a Russian laboratory.
Well, no, her arc is she finally falls in love with Hopper and rescues him.
Yeah, and then gets home to see the kids and it's like, sorry.
Yeah, as he's rescuing himself, she rescues him and she falls in love.
Yeah.
And they go through an adventure, which is actually probably the best adventure of the season.
Yeah,
where they fight the guys and the thing and do the...
I might disagree with you. I actually think maybe the stuff actually in Hawkins, I think, was probably the best adventure.
Oh, with Eddie and...
Yeah, with Eddie and
Nancy, that was pretty good.
Steve
but hers was a good B plot.
Mm-hmm.
Better than 11, Will and Mike, as we just mentioned. Murray.
Murray disappears.
He does a bunch of karate.
He uses the flamethrower to burn a bunch of monsters, and then...
Oh, they did give him something to do.
Oh, yeah, they did. He uses karate, and he burns monsters. And he speaks Russian.
Yeah, but Hopper had the chainsaw, or the flamethrower first, so I
Yeah.
think we should give him credit.
Yeah, like the vigilante. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, but he just kind of, he burned some monsters. And before that, though, he disappeared for like, until the flamethrower, he didn't really do anything else. Once he got them through the prison.
Well, his job was to wait until the monsters got in, and then he was supposed to scorch them from above.
once they were sitting there at the
Once they get to Russia.
helicopter area.
Yeah.
He disappeared
He just
entirely.
he talks Russian for like a scene.
Max just doesn't...
Sacrifices herself to lure Vecna out, and then dies, only not dead.
Well, at least she, admits that she has a lot of feelings for her friends, and she's not just this cold
Yeah, no, it was
thing
fine.
that she kind of... Like in
fine.
season 2 and 3, I didn't like her because she's just like,
Yeah,
I'm the new character.
I liked her in season 3.
Yeah, no, it was fine, but at the same time,
Three
she
was a little more
didn't have
fun.
any emotional depth, really.
None of these characters really do. I mean, they're child actors, so it's hard to give them like huge emotional depth arcs, or just emotional arcs in general, and expect them to be nailed. It's an unrealistic act.
So she kind of dies, but doesn't.
Yeah,
Turns out to be Vecna. He pays. We know exactly what happens to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Yeah, well, he turns out the Mind Flayer was just like this primal entity, but he subjugates it, and so like all these, he does like that James Bond villain thing, Inspector. Turns out I was responsible for
Like
everything
I said,
all along.
he's the villain who has unforced errors constantly. Bond villain. I didn't want to say it, but it's Bond.
No, it's a Bond villain. He's a Bond villain. It was me all along.
We have the FBI allied with Paul Reiser.
Yeah, Paul Reiser's character. We last see him handcuffed to a pipe.
Right, that's the resolution of the whole FBI, other than when that one lady drives Hopper back.
And she gives him the nod.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they just kind of disappear after the cluster fuck at the Nina lab.
Yep, after the Nina lab, yeah.
Bad FBI disappears after Nina lab.
Disappears immediately after Nina lab.
Bad FBI, I don't know. Hopper falls in love with Winona.
Gets
finally
home,
displays it.
Kills some monsters, gets home.
Meets up with 11 again.
That's
going somewhere. But we shouldn't have spent a season with them apart. A full season of them.
I really expected them to get together to fight like a big bad much sooner.
Right, for him to help her or her to help him or something, instead of just being like...
Well, now they'll get to work together to fight the biggest threat of all in the final season.
We've got the good Russian dude who had a lot of screen time and a lot of, they fleshed out his character.
Yeah, the guy who played Jaqen Hagar in Game of Thrones.
Sure, yeah, that one.
That's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
A Russian man has no resolution.
Well, he helps them get home. Well, he yells at the bad Russian dude.
He does.
Who also disappears.
Yeah.
And he convinces the bad Russian dude to help them.
Yeah. He does.
And originally, he was kind of the bad Russian dude, too. So, I mean, he had a little bit of a redemption.
He got a little bit of something to do, at least.
Steve
gets, as we discussed famously earlier, really gets nothing to do.
At the end, he's folding laundry.
Wait, do you even have
No.
Maya Rudolph's character on here? Maya Rudolph. I'm sorry. Maya Hawke. Maya Rudolph would have been hilarious.
Which one's Maya Hawke?
I can't remember her name. His female best friend, the
Robin.
lesbian. Robin, there we go.
Yeah, she's right next.
Yeah, Baskin Robbins. Got it.
Steve.
They worked at an ice cream shop, Baskin Robbins. I get it.
Yeah. He's folding laundry and smiling that Robin's finally...
Talking with her female crush, which had been mentioned like twice throughout the season.
But at the same time, in the meanwhile, we have Steve complaining about babysitting.
Yep.
Going in, get it. Well, he was the one that went into the under.
No, he does. He
Upside
does.
down.
He does get to go into the upside down on like the big hero's journey there at the end. But
Well, and in the middle.
Well, in the middle,
He's
it's
the
not
only
his-
one. He dives and goes
you're
through
right.
it, and then
You're
they
right.
have to save him, but not after he heroically went in himself and stuff. And then he does a couple things. It's just not.
Yeah, but they're always kind of like mocking him, and they're kind of like everybody. It's just like
Just kind of shitting on him.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. This man deserves a little more credit.
Well, the things he accomplishes, they ignore, and he doesn't not accomplish anything he tries to.
Yeah,
it's just he doesn't get any kudos. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, his character's just kind of, what is he, eye candy now?
For who? I mean, just to
lesbians who don't want to admit it.
Yeah, tempt Nancy away, maybe. I don't know. I don't care.
You seen that hair?
Yeah. He's there to be cast in a movie where he plays like Ben Schwartz and Andrew Garfield's brother. That's what he's there for.
I might watch that. It'd probably be funny.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So make that movie.
Yeah, make that movie.
We have Robin, who They keep talking about how clumsy she is. Never. I don't know. They keep opening up plot threads. Like she has chemistry with Steve.
Yeah.
She's got some good scenes with Steve and Nancy.
You should get some okay scenes with Nancy as well.
Like they're probably and
but
then
she's kind of there just for like, well, we need to send like another person and we can't keep endangering the lives of children kind of thing is how I felt. And then she does.
What was her point in season? Well, her point in season 3 was to give Steve something to do, right?
Well, also Steve and Dustin were partnered up, and the three of them investigate like the secret underground lab.
Yeah,
and
no, she's a good addition.
She was great as the hijinks character,
yeah.
Kind of, and then or like the one who's like, I can't believe I'm trapped with these two dummies.
Yeah,
and then in this one, it's a little more serious. She gets more to do. Not a
well,
ton
she's
more,
still kind of, I don't know. She's just kind of. She's just kind of part of the group.
She's a support character.
Yeah,
she's there incendiary.
And then at the end, she finally finds talks to a lady. We don't know what happens.
They seem to be getting along fine.
We've got Nancy, who at the end has been confessed to having Steve love her, and then has an awkward scene with Jonathan.
Yeah, she kind of stepped up a little bit as like de facto group leader this season.
She got to shoot a shotgun.
Yeah, didn't aim for the head. Clearly, Infinity War doesn't exist in 1986.
Well, she didn't. I mean, she's kind of like,
yeah.
I've never shot a shotgun in my life, but I'm
aim for center of mass. You expected it to win.
So Nancy doesn't. I mean, she's at the end. She's just like,
yeah, a little more independent, I think.
Well, maybe. I don't think she cares about either of the guys right now. Basically, she's kind of like,
She might care a little bit about Steve more than we think. I
she
think
might care about Jonathan more than we think. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, well,
like, was it supposed to be chemistry?
Jonathan still didn't admit that he's not going to the same college.
Right, because then Jonathan, did you get your acceptance letter? I don't know. He had like 2 scenes, and they were kind of emotional date scenes.
Yeah, one with his brother, and then that conversation with Nancy there at the end.
Yeah. Argyle, who
he drives
and gets
high and recommends. He stumbles around the desert, finds truck tracks, and he's like, "Maybe we go this way, bro."
Well, at the end, he finds a mushroom.
Yeah,
so we know what plot thread that'll lead to.
Yeah.
Hey, 11, you want to get back to the Upside Down?
Yeah. You want to increase you got to release yourself from the bonds of reality, 11, and this'll help.
Oh, God, I bet that something like that happens.
Oh, yeah, take this psychedelic and unleash your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we have the basketball guys who...
that guy gets killed.
The one guy dies, the other ones disappear.
They disappear, all of them except the one.
I forgot to write down Erica, who...
Oh, yeah. She's perfect in every way.
I also forgot to write down Lucas.
No, didn't you mention the siblings? Yeah.
No, Lucas ends up...
Lucas has enough to do.
Oh, he's with Max at the end, and Erica's there too, I think, with him.
Oh, yeah. So, and then they're... Yeah, because they look out the window of the hospital to see everything going down. But no, Erica, she's my least favorite type of character. It's like somebody who's this young, who's like no flaws, perfect in every way. Oh, if you think she's a little obnoxious, you just don't like... I was like, I don't know, like these kids should not be good at everything. It's kind of like just too domineering on each scene and kind of just out of tone. But... Not the actress's fault. That's a script writing issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said before, I believe that most bad acting is just bad directing.
Yeah, and
most.
Lucas gets a fair amount to do, though I think he should have been much angrier with his friends for being just kind of dicks.
Oh, yeah, they did ditch him early on.
They ditch him early on, and he's still like a team player.
I've got the best basketball game of my life. It's so important.
And then
we sit on the bench, and also we really want to play D&D.
And then in these last 2 episodes, it's pretty much just reconnect with and try and protect Max. He gets his ass kicked.
Do they reconnect with... Does he get a scene with like Mike and Will?
Holy crap. No, they just walk into the hospital and it becomes the 11 show.
Right. Will doesn't even talk to Lucas at all this season, I don't think.
No. Wow. Okay. Wow. I didn't even realize that. They're all in the same room. You could think they could dedicate one of their 14 endings to like the friends hanging out? Like, or like saying something to each other? Like, say like, oh, I'm so sorry about Max. No, it's just 11 walks in and does the 11 thing and then next scene. Wow. I didn't even realize. What? Oh my goodness.
Then we've got Susie who disappears.
Yeah, Susie served her purpose by hacking the location of a secret government base.
I found their IP and now I'm going to geocities.com. And
yeah.
No, I don't even know.
It was sort of like that.
Well, there weren't websites back then, I don't think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, you probably don't remember the internet on 86.
No, the internet was around in the 80s.
It existed, but I don't think there were websites.
I don't think it was like in the same way it does.
I don't think there were graphical websites.
It was definitely not the way they were using the internet.
You attached yourself to internet protocol things, but it wouldn't have been a graphical website.
But that's it.
Then we got Dustin, who watches his new dad die.
Yeah, watches new Steve die. Watches heavy metal Steve die.
And then follows his uncle around going like, hey, he was a hero. And his uncle's just like, in an earthquake?
Yeah, what do you mean he was a hero in an earthquake? Like,
where'd his body go?
He tried.
Earthquake got him?
He did a flying dragon kick at the earthquake, but he couldn't stop it. Like, it was just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, you can't save someone's life in an earthquake.
Well, you could, yeah.
And I guess your body could disappear in a giant hell quake.
Yeah, it's a hell chasm. Yeah.
What is it called?
Hellmouth?
Hellmouth, yes.
Yeah, you thinking of Buffy?
Yeah.
All right.
The Paul Reiser, who's attached to good FBI.
Yeah, he tries to get 11 out of there. He really does, but it just doesn't work because he gets betrayed by Papa. And Papa, again, just...
Papa could not hear him.
If you want... Yeah, right? Like, Matthew Modine's character arc in this is just like, just hit repeat.
I'm trying to help you, 11. No, I'm
trying to
not.
help you, 11.
I'm trying to help you, 11. Nah, I have ulterior motives.
I'm trying to help you, 11.
I've always loved you.
I've always loved you. Drugs. I've always loved you. Release his slave collar. Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. Like, we are making fun of it, but it's just because it was maybe, scale it down a little bit.
I think the villains are inconsistent, and like they just want to give the kids as much time as possible on the screen, I think.
Yeah, but it
doesn't really matter what they're doing.
Well, and I know this one was filmed over many years, so it was really difficult to try and get them all together and to shoot for as long as possible because of child labor laws. So they can only be on set for so long, and they can only be filmed for so many hours.
Yeah, they're like 30 now. Child labor laws apply.
Some of them are definitely old enough, which is probably why we had more screen time for some than others. And I don't know. It's just when this season started, I was excited initially because I was like, ooh, this looks like it's gonna go deep into horror. That opening chaos.
Yeah.
Right? And then nothing in the rest of the series even comes close to that kind of chaotic and unsettling tone.
And it was halfway between like the second season or the third season and like the first season in tone. Because it'd be like, here's like this horror, and then they'd be like, and wacky 80s stuff. And
and
I'm standing up on the table, I'm yelling about D&D.
Yeah. We were talking about how they also liked to stack like several scenes that were kind of the same on top of each other. Like Eddie's death, they stacked that directly. They put Max's death directly on top of that. And we're like, it's like, well, I mean, Eddie, we've only known for,
I liked the character, so I should have felt some emotions when he was dying.
They killed him too soon.
They killed him in the middle of a bunch of action sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel, like, if a character gets killed in an action sequence, you don't feel bad? In Saving Private Ryan, when those guys all get gunned down on the beach, you're not like, oh, this is so sad.
When some of them die during the bigger scenes at the end, you get a little upset. But
then they kind of focused on those.
They focused on them. Like, it wasn't just. And another problem I have a lot is just like the editing in general. I think and this was a problem I had just throughout the season. Their sense of timing with their cuts, I was like, you cannot expect me to believe that all these events are unfurling simultaneously. And if they are not unfurling simultaneously, it is okay to sit with one scene longer for the other.
Well, considering there's 8 different things going on with different characters in the last episode, a lot of them would be going on simultaneously because there's 8 different things happening.
Right, but
8.
Okay, but very specifically, I'm referring to when Nancy, Steve.
Oh, they're getting choked.
Nancy, Steve, and God, why can't I remember Robin? I keep on Maya Hawk, Robin, bird theme. Come on, Derek. They just, maybe it'll help me remember. They're it's through no fault of their own. Like the reality shakes in the upside down, and they stumble, and it's like a Star Trek bridge scene. And then but they stumble backwards, and they step on one of the tendrils, and the tendrils are all interconnected, which didn't seem to matter when they were fortifying the armor on like the mobile home, nailing it against the walls. Like those had tendrils too, but whatever.
Those are far tendrils.
Yeah, those are too far away.
I can't feel my extremities. Why should he be able to?
That's a fair point. So they're being choked out, and like a whole bunch of other scenes happen that are clearly taking much longer. Back to them still being choked out, back to other things happening. And I guess you could argue that Vecna's like, I'm just waiting to kill your friends. But you're right, that would be an unforced error again. You know, like they did the same thing right before they took the break, was when Hopper's in the yard getting ready to fight the monster, and they would cut to another scene that lasts like 10 minutes, cut back to Hopper, he's still getting ready, cut back to something else, and it just makes the sense of timing off. It bothered me a little bit.
Well, timing on that didn't matter because nothing else was going on simultaneous to that would have made a difference.
Yeah, but you don't need to cut to Hopper then.
Right.
Once you do the other things.
Yeah.
Like, so for this one, they didn't need to cut to, they could have put the entire sequence of them being choked when it was appropriate, you know? Like, it could have been the last thing.
Like 11, your friends are all dying, and then it shows them stumble and start choking, and she sees that then.
Or like, right before he's going to reveal that they're choking, we can have the scene right before it. Yeah, that's exactly. Like, you know, and it's just like these details, they matter. And it's frustrating because it is a show that I still like, but man, alive, was this was hard to watch. It was so long, and like we've been harking on it, not everybody necessarily has something to do in each scene that's given, and then like some of like the time jumps or like the narrative cuts are just they're just big jumps, and I don't know, it's just it was okay I guess is how I feel about it. I wasn't super disappointed. I know I sound very disappointed, but I don't know. I just think
if I'd been watching it at home, it would have taken me a couple of sittings.
Oh no, if you hadn't been here, I wouldn't have. I would have been like, I'll come back to it, because when I was watching the first couple episodes, Lady Alex was over, and I thought it would be fun for us to watch together, and we were like, oh my god, this is boring. Like, we're like, we only have so much time to hang out this weekend. Let's.
Yeah, the first episode is like, here's a bunch of like horror and like a really cool villain, and also 11 getting bullied, building a diorama. Will not getting any letters from Mike. And it's just like, what the F?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta.
Yeah.
So it's like this 80s interspersed thing with like, I don't know, all this like weird, cheery, colorful stuff and stoners. Some cosmic horror thrown in.
A little bit of cosmic horror, but like we're saying, like the way they cut things is we don't sit in one thing for long enough for it to become like, all right, this is a good tone for this. It's literally interspersed with things that are so tonally different. And I think that's why those cuts, in something that's already very long, make it feel so much longer, because like, I'm settling into horror, and it's like, whoa, bro. And I'm like, I'm settling into whoa, bro. And then it's like, now let's talk about your trauma. And I was like, can we sit with one of these things for a little bit? They should have been broken up into smaller pieces. This is Netflix. You can break them into like, here's a 45-minute cosmic horror episode. And then you can be like, meanwhile, here's stoner comedy.
But if you make more episodes and not longer episodes, you probably have to pay some more.
You might be right.
It's probably only 9 episodes on their contract.
Well, I don't know. Like I just watched Man vs. Bee, and it's 9 episodes. The first one's 20 minutes. Yep, the first one's 20 minutes, and then the rest are 10, including the credits. So they break it up based on like where the chaos is. It's like this one's like the living room, or like this one's like outside, or like this one, like they're broken up into like small little things, and then the last episode kind of wraps it all together. So I think something like that with like Stranger Things, or like even with like watching some of these Disney Plus shows, some of them are 45 minutes and some of them are like 20 minutes, and then you got like 10 minutes of credits. But like not like Kenobi, it's like, oh, we have an hour-long pilot, and then the next episode is like 35 minutes. You know, things like that. And Kenobi's a bad example because it doesn't all work. But I mean, like, if you are telling me something in a concentrated narrative, I'm more willing to sit there and watch 45 minutes of one narrative and then 20 minutes of stoner comedy in the next episode to get back to this, as long as I kind of know where we're going. And then in the last, you can still do your big 2.5-hour movie where you pull the threads together. I mean, if they had threads to pull together, because at that point, the stoner comedy is only like one joke, you know what I mean? Or like one or two jokes, and it's a lot more focused on the serious events. So
what was the resolution of the pineapple on the pizza? Did he eat it? Did he not eat it?
Oh, I forgot that they tried to force feed him pineapple pizza. Well, that's a hot take from a kid. It's certainly not the voice of somebody who wants people to talk about it on the internet. And that's what this show is. They just want people to talk about it on the internet. And guess what? We're their fools. We're doing it.
Are we, though?
Yeah. Let us know what you think. I mean, that was kind of our opinion on it. I mean, I'm sure I'll talk to a couple of you guys when we meet in like face to face and stuff like that. But anybody, let us know. Let us know. So,
If you loved it, you're wrong. If you hated it, you're wrong.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, it's just what you expect out of it. And I think with the opening scene, I expected more horror than comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the comedy I got, I thought
like when Chrissy died, that was horrific.
That was one of the best parts.
And her being stalked and looking for drugs. I forgot about that. Like, how tense was that?
That was
She's
amazing.
I'm looking for drugs.
Yeah,
and like,
I got goosebumps thinking about it, because that was a good way to introduce her character.
I forgot about that because of the last 4 hours.
Yeah, me too. No, that first episode with her was great in that regard, because they set up a character and they set up like, you feel bad for her. You can tell something's wrong, and then
she's being stalked by her past and like giant monsters that only she can see.
And then like a horrific death in front of Eddie, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then they kind of ruin that premise by making like, Eddie must have killed her. You think Eddie did that? Like, Jesus Christ, man. I don't know.
And I do want to say, if you're going to do like, this giant sequence of a dude in a horrific hellscape with lightning going down and monsters swarming towards you, and you're playing a fucking electric guitar, make it more epic than that.
It was Master of Puppets.
Don't. Well, the song was fine, but don't cut. Everyone loves Master of Puppets. Shut up. And don't cut between him and some people creaking around a house. No, you pan under up to him going as the lightning's crashing behind him, and the monsters are like slowly filtering in. You don't go like, here's a top angle shot from 50 feet away where you can see just a kid kind of sitting there going, yeah. No, you pan up to him sitting on the mountain
like a
going,
music video. Yeah.
That would have been so much better.
They intercut that the chase sequence with Max with that too, where she was running away.
There was 3 different cuts.
Yeah, there's too many cuts. It's like I would have kept it him playing and maybe the Max chase sequence, because that's kind of interesting. Like her trying to escape like the mental traps and stuff, and then he's just jamming.
Maybe some like string tendrils are coming at her like puppet strings, trying to like.
Yeah, just making a music video.
Yeah.
And there's one of your promo pieces for Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't want to reveal that Max ends up in the Upside Down or in Vecna's mind or whatever. I don't care.
She was never in the Upside Down, was she?
Nope, she was only in Vecna's mind.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Huh.
Unless, did they have to? No, was she in there when they went in the first time? No, they were there to let them out. They were on the other side. You're right.
Yeah, they were on the shore because.
Yeah,
just some kids hanging out on shores is cool, but like kids in a boat, not cool.
And then they go talk to the police for 5 minutes, and then they escape the police, and then the police decide, you know what, we're out of this show.
Oh yeah, what happened to the police?
Yeah, they left pretty much immediately after that.
These children are really running rampant on
They decided to get out of the way of the angry mobs they thought would be roaming the streets.
Evil dies tonight!
All right, we talked about part 2. Now we're angry at part 1 real quick.
I'm angry at all of it. Because part 2 only had one job. Resolve the stuff you set up.
I'm more heated than angry.
And give us, just resolve part 1. Give us a stinger for what comes next. Advance the characters a little bit. I mean, they're kind of well defined at this point. There's not, I don't want it to be I don't want it to be a soap opera. So.
Oh my God! Tone down the Hopper thing. We need less of the evil Russian guy. Like just cut that part out entirely. Be like, okay, we're going in. Mm-hmm. Oh no, the Soviets saw us and like an anti-aircraft hit us and we sunk and they found the wreckage and they're just like, well, they're dead or something. Like sink it into a river, a frozen river. So that when they find the aircraft, they're like, oh, they're dead. So just send them over.
Yeah, that's true. They were in the village closest to the plane crashing.
Instead, it's just like, yes, I'm here to do this thing. And when we get to Russia, it'll be very good. What's the peanut butter? Yeah, I'm betraying them.
They were there for days.
There was at least 10 minutes of them making jokes.
Well, yeah, and then they come back there after their escape for like additional 2 to 3 days, remember?
Well, the Demogorgon was kind of fucking people up at that point.
That's fair, it's true. But like, you would also think that's like, if you don't hear from your top secret monster research lab in a couple days, you're sending people.
I wouldn't.
Hey, if they really get out, we know what town they're going to, which is also the town, like, you would have at least, positioned a garrison in the nearby town to monitor.
Hey, boss, shouldn't we go over there? Nah.
Oh, man.
Everyone knows Russian stance.
Oof.
If they die, they die.
They die. Okay. Well,
I think I'm out of things.
I'll end it on this then. I'm excited for it. Did you want to plug yourself?
No.
But I will say this then. I am excited.
Out of the Matrix.
I'm a little excited. I think the premise of Hawkins like becoming Silent Hill is a good one, and it fits the show.
They're not going to go there.
They're not gonna go there, and they should, because that's how it ends. The final scene is you have all the cracks in the ground, and they're shooting up like the I don't even know what they call it, the ash, you know,
The smoke monster from Lost.
yeah, essentially. And it's like it should just become a Silent Hill show at this point, or even like, you know, just like a survival.
Well, then what do
horror.
all the characters do? Die?
No, they band together and try and do survival horror stuff.
All
And then
21 characters, and then they start splitting up and dying?
they split into groups. They could do it like they did in Jericho, a town under siege. You know, they could send.
Yeah, but they're
send
going
this
to
way.
split off, and then they're going to be like, hey, we found each other again. And in the meantime, the stuff they split off to do is going to be pointless. That's what they would do.
Supply runs, or maybe because there'll be multiple. Maybe they find that there'll be multiple gates, like multiple nodes, and they can go close them one at a time. And
I wasn't talking about what in theoretically your thing would happen. I'm talking about what would happen in this show. If they were like, it's like Silent Hill. There's 20 characters. They'd just be like, I'm going off over here. I'm going off over here.
Everybody just barricades in their house, and then somebody rides a bike to the next house. I don't know.
They wouldn't barricade. They'd be constantly riding bikes
Yeah, you're
with
right.
one other person.
I don't know what they'd do. My idea is pretty good, though. Maybe somebody
What
will.
are they going to do? They are going to introduce.
Shamblers. We'll get, like, instead of like
We're going to find out the Mind Flayer does want something.
we're gonna find out that the super fast Demigorgons have now been, because it's not the full upside down or something, they'll come up with some BS, even though we've seen these things move super fast. They'll do some kind of like shambling thing. I don't think, because think about it, you even let like 5 of those things loose in that town, everybody's dead. Like, so they'll find a way to make it more like
Right, because Upside Down and the world can't be connected because otherwise there'd just be
monsters
shit
flying
up
out constantly. Yeah, which is what they're establishing this as. I think they're doing this. The two worlds are like.
What I would
inverting.
do is I would be that it turns out the Vecna didn't really have control of Mind Flayer.
But we
The
see
Mind
him.
Flayer had control of him.
Oh, you think it was reading his mind?
Yeah.
And that's why it took that
That's
form?
what I would do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's just what I would do.
Fair enough.
Because you need a new big bad. You can't be like, oh, and here's one again.
You could.
Why?
I don't know, because they're more inspired by Star Wars than legitimate, like, anything.
But how is it Star Wars? Like,
Because you can't get rid of Palpatine.
but they never thought they did until the last one.
Well, he gets blown up on the Death Star.
Yeah, in the last one.
Man, whatever. I don't know what they'll actually do.
They should.
You know what? I don't
They
care.
should make a compound out of Eleven's blood and inject it into the rest of them.
So they. Oh, God. Maybe they will. Who
We're
knows?
all superheroes now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. what they'll
then
do.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Shut
All right. That's all I got.
I'm just done.